Elizabeth I, the famous Queen of England, is often remembered as a powerful, intelligent, and glamorous ruler who led her country through a golden age, but behind the painted portraits and carefully controlled image was a daily reality that would shock modern people. Life in the 16th century was ruled by ideas about health, cleanliness, and the human body that were very different from today, and even the Queen herself was trapped inside these beliefs. Hygiene during Elizabeth I's time was not only limited by technology but also shaped by fear, superstition, and medical theories that encouraged habits we would now find deeply unpleasant. Bathing, for example, was widely believed to be dangerous. Many people thought that hot water opened the pores and allowed deadly diseases to enter the body, especially plague. Elizabeth I reportedly bathed only a few times a year, with some accounts claiming she bathed once a month, whether she needed it or not, a statement meant to show discipline rather than. Even this was considered excessive by the standards of the time. Instead of washing the body with water, people relied on changing linen shirts and undergarments, believing that clean fabric pulled dirt and sickness away from the skin. As a result, Elizabeth wore many layers of clothing and changed her linen often, but her actual skin may rarely have been properly cleaned. The smell in the royal court would have been intense, with hundreds of people packed into rooms without modern ventilation, surrounded by heavy perfumes meant to mask body odor rather than remove it. These perfumes were often overpowering, made from musk, ambergris, and floral oils, creating a thick, suffocating air that mixed sweat, grease, and unwashed bodies into a scent that visitors sometimes found unbearable. Elizabeth herself was famous for her love of perfume and carried scented pomanders to protect herself from foul air, which was believed to cause illness through miasma or bad smells. Teeth were another area of shocking hygiene. Sugar was becoming more available during Elizabeth's reign and was considered a luxury item, often eaten by the wealthy as a sign of status. Elizabeth I loved sweets, candied fruits, and sugar-based treats, but there was no real understanding of dental care. Toothbrushes were not in common use, and teeth were sometimes cleaned with cloths, herbs, or abrasive powders that could damage enamel. Over time, Elizabeth's teeth became blackened and decayed, a fact that terrified courtiers, who feared smiling or opening their mouths in front of her in case their own teeth looked worse. Foreign ambassadors even commented on the poor state of her teeth, which caused her great embarrassment. Toothache was treated with dangerous remedies, including opium, alcohol, and even charms or prayers, while extractions were performed without anesthesia, often leading to infection. Cosmetics also played a disturbing role in Elizabeth's hygiene. The Queen's iconic pale white face was achieved using a cosmetic called Venetian ceruse, made from lead and vinegar. This substance was toxic and slowly poisoned the skin, causing sores, hair loss, and long-term damage. Elizabeth continued using it because smallpox had left scars on her face, and appearance was power in a royal court obsessed with image. The lead makeup cracked and flaked, trapping dirt and bacteria underneath, worsening skin problems and creating a cycle of damage that required even more makeup to hide. Her lips were stained red with plant dyes or crushed insects, and her eyebrows were often plucked or shaved completely. Another beauty trend of the time that left the face exposed and irritated. Hair hygiene was equally unpleasant. Elizabeth I was famous for her red hair, but wigs played a major role in maintaining her look. After illness and aging caused hair thinning, she owned dozens of wigs, which were rarely cleaned properly. Lice were common across all social classes, including royalty, and scratching was a daily habit even in the most elegant surroundings. Hair was sometimes cleaned with powders rather than water, and combs were used more to remove insects than to style hair. The Queen's elaborate gowns, while beautiful, added to the hygiene problem. These dresses were heavy, stiff, and nearly impossible to wash. Sweat soaked into the fabric, and stains were hidden with embroidery or perfume. Undergarments absorbed much of the body's moisture, but without proper washing methods, bacteria thrived. Elizabeth's court was also full of animals, including dogs, which roamed freely and contributed to dirt and fleas. Waste disposal was primitive, even in palaces. Toilets, known as garderobes, emptied into pits or rivers. and chamber pots were used indoors, often emptied by servants into nearby streets or courtyards. The smell of human waste was constant, especially in summer. Elizabeth herself reportedly disliked bathing partly because of the cold and discomfort, but also because privacy was rare, and even royal baths were attended by servants. Menstrual hygiene was another hidden but uncomfortable reality. Cloth rags were used instead of disposable products, washed and reused when possible, though not always thoroughly cleaned. Medical knowledge offered little help, and menstruation was surrounded by shame and superstition. Illness was treated with bloodletting, purging, and strange potions that often made conditions worse. Despite all this, Elizabeth lived to the age of 69, an impressive lifespan for the era. Her survival was likely due more to good fortune and a strong constitution than hygienic practices. What horrifies modern readers is not personal failure, but the reality that even the most powerful woman in England lived in a world where filth was normalized, fear of water was common, and cleanliness, as we understand it, simply did not exist. Elizabeth I carefully controlled her image as the Virgin Queen, radiant and untouchable, yet beneath the layers of silk, perfume, and makeup was a human body dealing with decay, discomfort, and the constant threat of disease. Understanding her hygiene habits reminds us how recent modern cleanliness truly is, and how differently people once experienced daily life even at the very top of society, making the past feel both fascinating and deeply unsettling as we drift into sleep, thinking of candlelit halls, heavy gowns, and a world where bad smells were not an exception, but a constant companion.